Andy Hevesi, you still there?
Yeah.
That's the policy of the board, I'm fine with it, but I'm happy to take any questions after I speak. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to like to hear. I'm going to be as straight up as I can be about what's about to happen, what I believe is about to happen. Some of you are going to be very uncomfortable with this, some of you are going to be very angry. The only way that I can put my head on my pillow at night knowing that I'm doing a decent job is because this is what I would want to hear from my elected official. No BS, straight up the middle, what's about to happen. So I've been part of this process now for a year, okay? And if this process was about the ideas of this is not a good place, or every idea that we've come up with in the last year, or even tonight, we'd be in the game. If this process was about the passion in the people in this room, about the community who doesn't want this, we've made that clear over and over and over again, we'd be in the game. It's not about that, guys. It's not. And for that reason, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, I believe we're not in the game. This game is over. Okay? I want to tell you honestly, and I'll take any repercussions. That's my responsibility as your elected official. Now, let me tell you how I got to this at this point. Okay? And I'll start with what's happened today. So we have the EAS. We have our friends, Gary and Vinny respond to it. By the way, that EAS is a disgrace. And the company that put it out, ACOM, which is an internationally renowned company with 45,000 workers, they do this all over the place. Their work product is horrific. There are so many holes in that, it's ridiculous. So Gary and Vinny, I got this letter today. It's a great letter. It really is. Their ideas are solid. I would not agree with 100% of it, but I say you're in the 70 to 80% range, which means that the environmental study is wrong. It's bad. But I got to tell you, I think they're going to ignore it. Okay? And also, Liz Crowley has an idea. Liz is my colleague and my friend. I like Liz. I'd love to have a school there. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay? Then let me go back to some of the other ideas we've had. We've had protests. Sure. We've had protests. People didn't listen. The city didn't listen. I actually went into the Department of Homeless Services and went to the commissioner and the assistant commissioner, and I threatened them. I went after them. They didn't stop. They have not once, and if I'm wrong, somebody in this room tell me one time that something we've done proactively over the last year has resonated. Now, you'll remember that we had the hearing, the public hearing, okay? I don't know if you'll remember, I didn't speak because I started to suspect at that time, I wasn't convinced, this is why I didn't say it, but I started to suspect at this time, this was a steamroll. This was not going to be stopped. That's why I didn't speak. I am now absolutely convinced of it. And I hate to be the one who brings you the bad news, but here's what's about to happen, okay? You'll notice at the front of the EES, it says specifically, the community board has some time to respond. You have until, what is it, Friday to respond? You did, that's right. And it specifically says, we're doing this as a courtesy. A courtesy, it says it twice. Translation, there's no mandate for us to stop this. We're doing this as a courtesy. They're not going to respond. So what's going to happen is on Monday or Tuesday, this gets sent to the controller's office. Here's the problem. I'll be completely candid on this. The controller can't stop it. The only legal way the controller can stop this project from happening is if the numbers do not add up. He's not allowed to say, I don't think it's a good idea. He's not allowed to say, this community doesn't want it. Legally, he cannot do that. Can't do it. And if history dealing with DHS on this is right, they are doing everything by this playbook because they've done this a million times before and they're going to do it again because they have a homeless crisis. That's a different story. So this is going to go to the controller. And the controller is going to certify that their numbers are right, because I'm pretty sure their numbers are going to be right. We may have a disagreement and we can keep fighting that, but I'm pretty sure their numbers are going to be right. Guys, this has been a steamroll from the start. Now, I'm not throwing up my hands because I think there may be one long shot, but you don't stop being a fighter by being a realist. I don't quit. I'm going to keep coming back at these guys. I'm going to go after ACOM and figure out if they've ever said no to a project. I want to talk to you about getting legal counsel, because that's where I think we are. I know some of you have talked about that. I think we're there. I think that's where we have to be. But I got to be honest, I don't think it's going to stop it. Does that mean we don't swing when we're going down? No, we keep swinging. But I want everybody to know, I don't believe it's going to happen. So when you get to Mr. Powell's point, which is a really salient point, there's going to have to be a recognition at some time in this community that this is going to be a reality, and we're going to have to do our best to prepare for this horrifically bad circumstance that none of us wanted. None of us wanted. And that means looking at the cops, looking at the firefighters, dealing with the overcrowding issue. I know DHS gives concessions in other scenarios where maybe we can get the number down. I don't know. I'm not going to stop, but I'm also not going to stand up here and tell you something that I don't believe to be true. I believe this is a done deal. And I'm sorry, the immediate after the controller signs off on it, they can immediately start renovating. Which building a homeless shelter, you're going to put next to a chemical plant? Are you kidding me? Then Kathy's written so many letters and gotten so many people involved that the passion is incredible. As to the fraud of the views, I did that personally. After that first initial controller's office report came out, I sent a letter to de Blasio saying, how are you going to enter into a new contract when the state fiscal watchdog just told you that Samaritan Village may have squandered or, even worse, had fraud and abuse with close to $1 million of taxpayer money? Guess what their response was? They ignored it, like they've ignored everything else. So I'm sorry, the controller can't stop that.